Basically, if you focus on your work and you're a decent person to other people, you'll get pretty far in this. What's going on? It's Winslow, your third favorite drum and bass producer, the man with the face for radio. Let's talk about something. So a little while ago, I got a DM on Instagram basically asking,
Winslow, since you're so cool, could you give me some advice on how to break through the scene?
I made a video about this some years ago, but the thing that really made me want to revisit it is that there's a lot that's happened since then, from just general experience, playing more shows, this big move over here to Glasgow. Now I feel like I have a better understanding because I've talked to other people who have gone through the same thing. And it always seems like it comes down to two things mostly. Number one being the work, and number two, getting to know people. Those two things have probably been the biggest help with me breaking through, the noise that is so many people trying to do the same thing and trying to achieve the same stuff. Especially as someone coming from where I came from, which was Midwest America, there is absolutely no one else doing this in the way I was trying to do it. And I want to be specific because there's a lot of people who DJ, a lot of people who produce drum and bass, but not with the focus that I do it.
John Wick is a man of focus, commitment, sheer will. Something you know very little about.
That level of I'm gonna call it casual intensity because I'm not like crazy about it, but it does mean a lot to me and it is something I really want to focus on, Does this make some sense? This is sort of clicking. All right, chicken. So point number one, the work comes first. That's the biggest thing. Whatever your creative endeavor is, the work you put into it is what will carry you the furthest. In my case, it's music. The better I get at making music, the better my music sounds. I'm working on improving it in any way I can. Whether that be mix down things, like is the clarity there? Is it punchy? Does it have the kind of character I want? Does it stand up to mixing, DJing with other tunes? Does it sound interesting? Am I, too full of myself? Am I not trying enough? Am I going far enough? Am I going too far? Am I, all these kind of things that only really you can answer, but through that self-reflection, that focus, and that constant work, will you be able to tell? If you don't do any of that, then it really doesn't matter what else you try to do. It's kind of how I talk about these videos and the YouTube channel and all like the, supplemental education stuff. None of this would really have as much effect if I wasn't also doing the work at a high level. I could talk about all these techniques and all these things, but if you listen to my music, you see none of it being displayed. Then how valid is, the advice I'm giving? So it's one of the things that's always kind of apparent on YouTube is there's a lot of people who teach and give all this advice, but when you listen to their output, their work, it doesn't really have the same feel. It's like you're telling me all these things with, yeah, technically is correct, but then here's what you are creating. And now there's a bit of a disconnect and I don't know if I really believe you anymore. So one of the things I've always tried to do with this channel is, basically practice what I preach. None of the things I tell you would really matter if I didn't put in the work beforehand. That's really what I'm trying to get across. Before anything else, it's about the work. And it doesn't have to be like the best stuff ever. It just has to come across as authentic. And that's kind of it. And people can see that. I can see what I was trying to do a couple years ago and how that's turned into what's happening now. I can see someone who has loads more experience than me and all the steps they took to get there, but also the steps they're trying to take to, stay fresh and improve on themselves, because you never really stop learning. I'm kind of rambling, but again, the work is what's most important. Chicken break. Point number two is meeting people. Not in like a businessy, like, let's network, let's connect, bro. I mean, actually meeting people, getting to know them, who they are, their aspirations, what they're trying to do, how that relates to the thing you're trying to be a part of. Because just because I'm primarily a DJ and producer doesn't mean I don't want to know what a label manager is doing, what's their point of view on all this stuff, or what like a graphic designer who makes flyers and stuff for the local weekly, or, things like that. Like everyone who plays a part in this thing you're trying to be a part of has a story, has some advice, has a point of view that you don't have, that can greater expand your own. Most of the things that have happened in my career thus far are just because I was willing to talk to somebody and ask them some questions and just, be curious about who they were and not what they could provide for me.
Message!
That's it. I'm just coming across like, hey, I see you do a thing. I want to know more about that thing. And I genuinely do. And like sometimes people are like, yeah, I don't have time. That's cool. Some people have a little bit of time. You get what you can. You become a familiar face. And eventually, maybe they have a project or something that comes about. And they're like, oh, I wonder who I should consider for this. Guess who could possibly be on their mind for that thing? Could be you. If you lead with authenticity and positivity, like chances are you'll be fine. I've talked to a lot of people who've known more about me than I knew about them simply because their friends and friends of friends are like told them this. And what came out of that is all these opportunities, like having releases on labels, like playing shows, like being interviewed or having guest mix and stuff. Just things that are possible within this discipline, within this culture. I have been fortunate enough to be a part of simply by word of mouth. I was decent to somebody once and they wanted to return the favor, So, big thing, all of this takes time. You cannot speed up this process. I want to say you can't pay your way to the top and stuff like that, but we all know you can. But is that how you want to do it? And if it is, like, by all means, go for it. Again, like I said, there's room for all of us. The people who want to take our time and do it authentically. The people who want to, pay their way to the top and, do what they can, scheme. Yeah, it's all about how you want to go about things. But being authentic, being driven, being focused, being a decent person can get you a very long way. So try it. Try those things. I know I'm asking a lot. I really am. But also, am I? You know what I mean? I can tell you it's worked more often than not. And of course, there's a lot of caveats. There's a lot of other factors that go into things. But if you focus on these two things, the work you're doing and the relationships you make, you'll be just fine. Honestly. Yeah, that's about it. I want to know what you think. I know what's worked for you. Whatever level you consider yourself at, beginners have just as much a point of view to offer as someone who's been doing it for 50 years of their life and they're tired of it. So let me know down in the comments. If you got any value out of this, leave a like, subscribe to see more. Join me on Patreon, links in the description. I won't bother you too much. It's just, support the boy and the orange one. He's just down there. And yeah, I'll see you next time with a different idea. Short answer is be a